This is a brief description of the NDSU Assessment Helix. Why isn't it a cycle? Watch this video to find out. Assessment is typically shown as a cyclical process of steps that proceed in order. For instance, start with step 1, then step 2, and so on. The problem with a typical assessment cycle is that you complete a number of steps in the cycle but then end up exactly where you started, right back at step 1. As a flat process, this suggests that assessment is about repeating yourself, about doing the same thing over and over and never getting anywhere new. What's different about a helix, or a three-dimensional spiral, is that while elements of the cycle repeat itself over time, there's a continual upward movement. In a helix, as you can see here, steps still appear in order, but they produce upward movement. Imagine looking down the vertical axis of the helix. You would see the steps appearing in order in a cyclical process. But the difference in a helix is that when you return to step 1, at the end of the cycle, you are in a very different place because you've progressed upward in the helix. In the same way, the work of assessment, while there are repetitive activities, is never really repeating itself. The start of one cycle picks up at the end of the previous cycle and continues to create upward movement. I will now briefly describe these steps. Step 1. The best way to get started with a meaningful, manageable assessment project is to ask a question about student learning. The question can be about any aspect of student learning that's relevant to you at this point. For example, you might notice students are struggling with a research paper. That'd be a perfect question to ask to get started on an assessment project. Another question might ask about students' communication skills. Are they developing the ability to communicate in a professional manner? And another assessment question might ask about the development of dispositions or attitudes that the program seeks to develop in students. Whatever question you develop, make sure it's meaningful, manageable, and relevant, and answering it would address some area of interest to your program. Step 2 in the assessment helix is to gather evidence to answer the question. Evidence can take many forms, but the best evidence is direct assessment evidence that shows students' strengths and weaknesses in the area of the question. Direct assessment asks students to demonstrate their abilities, not simply provide an opinion about what they can do, but to actually do the thing and have their achievement evaluated. Step 3 is to analyze results and answer the question. This is where your efforts to develop a good question will pay off. A good assessment report answers questions that has meaning to a program and will help inform decision making. Step 4 is to use and share results. Use results to inform discussions, make a decision, and ideally improve student learning. Results should be shared broadly with stakeholders who can best support efforts to improve. Step 5 is to reflect, celebrate, and begin to develop a new question. Too often we forget to celebrate the things we're doing well. This step is time to do that. Assessment often generates as many questions as it answers, so this is the time to think about what question you would like to answer next. And at this step, it's also important to consider how you might change the assessment process in the future. To summarize, assessment is a journey, not a repetitive cycle. And just like it was for Frodo Baggins, shown here from The Lord of the Rings, the most important thing about any journey is to decide to take it. And know that as you go through your journey, you will never be the same. Thank you for watching. Please let me know if I can be of any assistance.